So if you clicked on these videos because your music's not sounding as professional as you would like it to be, and these are most likely the reasons why. So number one is going to be your background. A lot of people might say like, just get this drone and put it in the background and then you're fine. When in reality, there's way more elements that you have to put in your background. So number one thing you can do to use kind of elevate up your background is to put some ambient sounds, whether it's like birds chirping or just like water or the vinyl crackle effect. That's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is just getting a single note sustain string that's gonna loop around the whole song. That's gonna really help with the background. And then the last tip I can give is having like random sounds in the background. You don't have to overdo it with it. You can just have like one or two and they're playing every, 8 bars or something, but it's gonna add to the atmosphere of the song. And it does make a difference. And now that you know what to add to the background, there's one thing you really have to be careful for, and that's going to be your reverb. The reverb is going to be in the background as well with the drones, with the strings, with everything you added. So you're going to want to EQ your reverbs, and also don't use the same reverb like template for everything. Like don't use the same whole reverb in every fucking channel. Like, use studio reverbs, use whole reverbs, use plates, use gated. There's a billion things you can add. So be creative with it, and also don't overdo it. There's a lot of sounds that have reverb like already built into it, especially like serum presets. So if you're gonna add on top of that, make sure either to turn it off or just use that reverb. Or if you're adding an extra one, make sure it's not doing too much, because it can get really messy and it could fuck up your whole song. Okay, the second reason why your songs are not sounding as professional is because you don't know how to EQ correctly. Bro, there's so many videos of people explaining how to EQ and they overcomplicate it. Like, here are the basics if you don't know how to EQ. If it's the bass, you're gonna want to take off some of the high end. If you want to keep some of the high end, you're gonna do a shelf. You're gonna use the little shelf thingy, and you're gonna do that because it's not gonna take away all the highs, but it's gonna reduce it quite a lot. If you want to cut away the highs completely, use the cut. Now, every sound that's not the bass, you're gonna want to take some of that low end off. For example, my pianos are usually in a low octave, and I kind of like having a bit of the bass of the piano. So let's say every other instrument I'm EQing at 120 hertz. For that piano, I might cut like at 100 hertz. So I still have that like I still have that low end. That's pretty much the basics. And then you might be like, yeah, but sometimes people tell me about the resonant frequencies and whatever. Like, if you can truly not hear any resonant frequencies, you most likely don't need to do that. Also, a lot of sample packs are really good right now, and the sounds that you're using are really high quality. And honestly, there's very few times where I'm like, oh, there's this frequency that's really sounding off. So yeah, that's EQing. That's the basics of EQing. Now you know it. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't need to EQ the shit out of every sound. Just like create the breathing room for the sounds that you're using. Take off the low for pretty much every other instrument, so the bass has that low end all for itself. And then you're pretty much chilling. Like, honestly, it's not that hard. And of course, at the beginning, you're gonna struggle with it a little bit, but the more you do it, the more you practice, the better you're gonna get. And then you're gonna be able to find out different techniques, but honestly, understand the basics first and then move on to like the more advanced stuff. Okay, the third reason I see a lot is you're over compressing. And the reason I know there's an actual issue is because it just happened to one of my friends. He used to get his songs mixed and mastered by engineers, but he really wanted to learn how to do it. So he was like, hey, can you help me out? And then can you like give me feedback? I was like, sure, send me your music. He would send me his music, and all his songs were having the same issue. It kind of sounded muddy. There was something off about it. And, I would be like, maybe it's your bass. EQ this, and it wouldn't work. It would still sound exactly the same, like that muddiness and that compressed, like over compressed sound. But in my head, I don't know why, it never came through my head to ask him if he was compressing, until one day I was like, bro, what's your fucking mix buzz looking like? And he's like, this compressor, this and that. And I'm like, bro, you're over compressing your shit. And he started taking some of the compression off, and immediately his music started sounding better. I know I said it as a joke in my last video, but it honestly is so much easier to over compress and under compress. So that's my tip. Especially when you're starting out, a compressor looks like this, and that shit looks so fucking complicated when in reality it's pretty simple. My tip for compression is to really learn and understand what everything means in a compressor. In the Mix has a really good video about compression, so I would really check him out because it goes super in depth about it. And once you understand it, like, you're chilling. You're gonna understand every other compressor out there. So yeah. Okay, number 4 is that you're probably using your reference tracks incorrectly, or you're not using reference tracks at all. A lot of people don't like using reference tracks because they think they're just going to make the exact same song they're referencing. And that's not the point of reference tracks. The whole point of it is to see the song structure and see, for example, if you want to see the background elements, or you really like the break and you want to know how they did that, or you want to see, you know, how long their intro is and how long the bridge is and how long the verse is. That's pretty much how you use a reference track. If you want a more detailed video about how to use reference tracks, I can for sure go over that, because the way I use it is completely different, and I don't think I've seen a lot of people use it the way I do. And then the last reason, and a lot of people are gonna hate me for this, is your music is just not good enough, or the song's not good enough, and you have to live with that. And I know it hurts to hear that, but that's just the truth. Especially at the beginning, you're so excited about every project you're working on, and you want to show everyone, and you want to release it now. But in reality, you have to be a bit more selective about what songs you're releasing. And it's something that's actually very common. I have a lot of songs that are not released that are fully mixed and mastered. They have vocals, like original vocals that I paid for, and they're never gonna get released because I just don't think they're good enough. And I'm not the only one. Every big DJ, every producer has a lot of unreleased songs that are never gonna see the light of day because they're just not good enough. So just take my advice, and before releasing it, really try to get feedback from DJs. Let's say you're sending it for promos and everyone's saying no. That should tell you something. I know it hurts, but maybe rework the song from scratch, or maybe take a break for a month. Bro, if you're sending a bunch of songs to DJs for promos or to labels and everyone's saying no, take a break from the song, even like a week. And when you come back, you might realize, okay, this song is actually ass, and that's why it's not getting signed, or that's why it's not getting played. Okay, and then before I forget, there's one thing I do that really helps me out, and is to play my songs when I think it's ready. Like if I think my song is ready, I'm gonna export it, and then I'm gonna play it live on my controller with like other songs. And if when I'm mixing into my song, if I can clearly tell that there's a sound difference because maybe my low end is not there, or there's something off about it, I know the song's not ready and I have to go back and fix it. And I know it's gonna sound a bit extra to do that, but that's gonna be the difference between your song being played out at festivals or just not being played out at all by anybody. And I'm telling you this from experience. Like I've been getting a lot of promos and I've been getting a lot of songs sent out to me so I can play it live. And there's a lot of times where I have to pass on them because the song quality is not there, and I can clearly tell when I'm mixing in that's like off. Like it's something really hard to explain, but once you do it with your own songs, you're gonna be able to tell exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, and then bonus tip, if you're trying to get your songs to be played out live by DJs, make your music with that in mind. And what I mean by this is just make sure that you have transition points. You know, you have a good intro, good outro, a good break, and then your song's gonna start being played out live more and more. And trust me, in this, like, it really works. My supports have been going up and up and up and up after I've learned this. So yeah, just take that into consideration. And yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. If you did like the video, please let me know. If you didn't like the video, let me know as well. I'm always trying to improve and trying to get this channel to be better and better. And yeah, if you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, follow me on other social medias. It always helps me out. And one last final thing, my new song Back to You dropped today, so make sure you go ahead and stream that. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.